Hello, everyone. My name is Iden, and you're listening to the Iden interviews. Today we are joined by Max Nui. For those who don't know
Hello.
who, hey, yes, hello. For those who don't know who he is, Max Nui is the producer, director, and founder of the Mangai Project that is currently creating the Mangai series. How are we doing today, Max?
We're doing pretty well. It's been a long work week, but I'm glad we're almost at the end of it. It's Thursday today, so
Indeed, it is
feels good.
Thursday. My feet are freezing still, and it's Thursday. I don't like it. So, but anywho, today, everyone, we have joined together with the two of us to kind of talk about the Mangai project. So, Max, we got a boatload of questions to possibly get through, maybe not as many, but we'll see what happens, shall we?
All right, let's go.
And as opposed to just being flowing, number one, what's the Mangai project? What are we telling people here?
Yeah, yeah. So the Mangai Project is a group of creative individuals gathered together to create an animated series focused around the story of the Toa Mangai from the rise from whenever they rise up in Metru Nui and become popular to their downfall whenever they lose Tuyet, they lose Nadiki, they lose a bunch of characters, and basically the series covers the arc from the beginning of the manga to the end, and the Mangai Project is what we're calling the group of creative individuals who are animating, producing, directing all of the behind the scenes stuff.
Oh, your
Yeah.
underlings, all the underlings on the
Yeah,
project.
I guess, yeah.
Well, it should be an interesting ride, to say the least. I've been on the project with you guys since I don't. When did the project get started? Like
We
what?
got started on August 10th, 2021. So that's whenever I opened the doors to let other people join, but I had been laying the groundwork for the project for 3 or 4 years before that. So
That that's a lot. But granted, any kind of movie or any kind of massive media project or anything like that takes a while. And just from
yeah,
being
definitely.
being amongst the creatives in the group, it's definitely been interesting to see and get to actually follow along a project like that or this. Why? But I guess one question I would have is why choose such a rather obscure section of the Bionicle lore?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because most people, like most fan projects of this scale, usually choose something like 2001, the island of Matanui, the Toa running around collecting masks, all of that stuff. And I would say that's, a pretty iconic visual of Bionicle. But the reason that I decided to move in like 2004 type direction is because number one, I think the story of 2001 has been overtold. Like it's a great story. It's iconic. It's whatever. But we've been there a lot, and I mean, it's not a criticism. There have been a lot of really good things created in 2001, but I guess I just wanted to see some more content from the other years of Bionicle. And one day I was sitting there thinking, why don't we see any more of this? And I just decided that if anybody was going to create something, then it might as well be me. So
That
I guess that's the motivation there. And 2004 is one of my favorite Bionicle years. It definitely beats out the first three for me. So
that's a pretty bold statement, if I have to say so myself. But as far
yeah,
as
I
that
definitely don't
goes,
say it's the best, but it's my personal favorite.
it was the first year that stepped away from the beginnings and stuff, and it was Legends of Metro Nui and stuff like that. And you had the new builds for the Toa. They looked all very tall, I guess you could say the least.
Yeah.
And they introduced, I guess, more storyline. You met Makuta in his semi prime, becoming prime. Uh, and so
Yeah,
it's an interest.
Ultimate Duma. Yeah.
Oh, Ultimate Duma, let alone the set.
Yeah.
No, I have found one. No, I took them apart to rebuild what should have been built. All right, here's one. Well, as far as that goes, why do you think the community needs this project after, oh my God, 10 years we're old. Um, over 10 years now, granted, since 2004. Why create it now?
I think we're at a very volatile point in the evolution of the Bionicle community because we've gotten to a place where there isn't really much hope that Lego is going to acknowledge us, going to do anything with the IP. And I don't blame them. Right now, it's not really, it's having difficulty being marketed, it's whatever. So we're reaching a point where the community is waiting, we're waiting on something to change. We're waiting on something to invest our creativity in. And I think the community needs these types of projects to remind us that we are storytellers. It's not just delegated to, corporations and other entities. Like, we as a community can create quality stories that can potentially, rival some of the best. So why, if we're waiting around for something to happen, waiting around for Lego to acknowledge us or somebody to acknowledge us, it could happen, it could whatever, but
We
we've
are,
reached a point.
yeah,
Yeah.
we lose control over it at that point.
Exactly. And I know Faber's been, like, pushing BioVival and all of that, which, that's a controversial thing, but he, somewhere in all of that, I think he does have a point that, quote, the story is in our hands. I think if you can get anything from Faber's, whatever, that's the goal of the next generation of Bionicle, if you want to call it G3, if you want to call it whatever. And other projects like Mask of Power and Red Star Games, stuff, different projects, I would call that G3. And the Mangai Project, it's a part of that. So
Yeah, like I already know someone had created an entire website themselves for actually selling specific merchandise based off of Bionicle recently as well. Just
mhm.
the fact that there's a store dedicated to that after 10 or more years is impressive. Uh,
Yeah.
so it's
And
quite
we're
beautiful
we're
to
very
see.
blessed as a yeah, we're very blessed as a community to be able to do these things because, Lego, they aren't Disney, they aren't Nintendo, they're not going to sue the socks off of us for that stuff. At least that's the legal precedent, that they haven't done that in the past. So we have a unique opportunity here that not many other fan groups have, or at least are allowed to be public about,
Yeah,
because it happens underground. But
yeah, no, I get it. Say like things like FNAF, for example. I know that the the creator of that I forgot his name already for some
Scott
reason.
Scott
Thank
Cawthon, yeah.
thank you. Um he allows people to make fan games based off of his games and kind of counts that towards his world of things. He loves it, the fact that people are willing to do that kind of stuff and put the time to make a fan game based on his creation. I think this is amazing that we get to make fan creations of Bionicle and go for it with that. It's beautiful. It brings a tear to my eye.
Yeah,
Um,
and especially if we're not, like, none of this is competing with Lego's market, and even you could look at Scott and his, initiative to allow other programmers to build games, and you could look at that as, oh, well, they're making games, it's competition. But he's reached a point in his market where, in in a roundabout way, the people who are making content using his, tools and his stuff are
mhm.
advertising for his, so it doesn't hurt the original creator at all, and if anything, it helps.
It brings a massive world all together. So it's a beautiful thing to see. It's not restrictive in any way except for your imagination. And if someone says, nope, can't do that because that might contradict some things, but at least it's communicated.
Yeah.
But for us, yeah, Lego allowing people to do stuff like this is a blessing in a lot of ways. And I'm happy that people still love Bionicle after so long. It is it's again, it brings a tear to my eye.
It's a
Um
surprisingly dedicated community, yeah, for sure.
So yeah, and where I work, we sell Lego and stuff, Lego resale shop. I see kids coming in asking about these different themes and stuff. I'm like, where do you know this? This was before you were born. Like it's crazy. It really is. You said you've been how long working on this, or how long ago you said you've been start thinking about this project?
Um, I want to say I started thinking about it whenever I started theater in college. I went to there were a couple of theater conventions that I went to. Things I was a theater minor in college, and some like they have creative writing seminars, they have stuff that you go through, and I started thinking about what stories what stories do I really want to tell. And I tried out a different things with a few a few different things with varying successes, but the story that I really wanted to tell was something in the world of Bionicle, or something that and I wanted to dive into the 2D animation world, just because of, as a kid, the cartoons you see and the things that I personal favorite was like Samurai Jack, as a kid. So
Yeah, and if for those who are listening, you can go see the teaser trailer now, and you'll kind of see exactly a taste of what the animation is going to look like. And I guess with that, why choose that kind of animation style to begin with? It's not one that, well, like you said Samurai Jack, which is very similar.
yeah, so whenever you're choosing a medium for a project, I think whenever you choose an art style, or you choose a medium that you present your content in, you have to be very careful and very intentional with the medium that you choose. It's not an easy choice, and you have to have justification for it in the background. So in my opinion, Bionicle lends itself very well to the 2D animated world, because with any medium, there's a suspension of disbelief, right? So whenever you're watching something, or whenever you're consuming some content, you suspend your disbelief. Like, obviously, in, let's say, Mission Impossible 6, I think 6 was the new one, Fallout. Tom Cruise is hanging on outside of the plane, right? But there's a suspension of disbelief, because you have to realize, okay, this isn't an actor, or sorry, no, this isn't actually Ethan Hunt. This is an actor. This is Tom Cruise playing a character, and this is simulated. This isn't really a man saving the world with a camera crew running behind him. So there's a suspension of disbelief there, of like, the audience has to suspend their disbelief. And so, like, the more outlandish things you do, you have to move to different mediums to create more outlandish things. Because for instance, let's talk about we're gonna go there. Let's talk about Death Note, an anime that a lot of people have watched. It's a pretty common whatever. I feel like most people know what I'm talking about with this. So there was the 2D animated Death Note that has, it's the demon, the Shinigami, whatever. So there's a Shinigami, named Ryuk, whatever, and
Mhm.
he's very intimidating. He's a spiritual demon. He's a spiritual whatever. And then years later, Netflix comes out with a live action adaptation of this, right? And you have a completely different version of it, and you start to hit the uncanny valley. And that's because whenever you move to live action, it becomes harder to suspend your disbelief, because you're looking at it and you're saying, well, that's not real. Everything around him is real. It gets harder to suspend your disbelief.
Welcome to the Matrix, essentially.
Yeah, exactly. So 2D animation, if we want to have biomechanical robots, running around, shooting fire, uh, swinging their swords at each other, using mask powers, whatever, it becomes easier to suspend disbelief whenever you transition it to, say, 2D. That's the main reason why we didn't want to go stop motion for
It
this big
get
of a project.
it
Yeah.
gives you a lot of freedom as far as doing an animation where it doesn't have anything based off of real life. Take I don't know, take like Lego pieces for example.
Mhm.
It's flames and whatnot. you can you can turn these flames into an animation quite quickly, and actually make it look like it's flaming,
Yeah.
compared to in real life where it's like, oh my god, just flame, stop motion, one piece, make it look like it's going up and down.
Which,
Um,
you can do cool stuff with animation. It is, or stop motion animation, and it's a very cool medium. I've messed around with it quite a bit. I've never gotten that good at it, but I've messed with it, and it just, that was, the other option for us, but we just didn't really think it would, you know, keep that. It wouldn't immerse the audience as much as a 2D animation.
it won't set it will basically 2D animation won't send you to Uncanny Valley because that is the world. It is what it is versus, oh, like you said, for the Mission Impossible movie, he's on the plane and stuff like that, but really, the behind the scenes and stuff. Well, in an animation, it's entirely different, like you said. So as far as that goes, when you say you decided to go with the stylizing, kind of similar to Samurai Jack and stuff, did you have a closer other one that you were thinking of doing beforehand?
Mm. In terms of like an art style or a direction.
Yeah,
Yeah, so for our concept art, and for the style guide, we looked at a number of different animations. Samurai Jack was of course on top of the list, but we also looked at Tartakovsky's other project, the Clone Wars series that was on Cartoon Network. So still kind of the same style. We also looked at the Mixels drawings, and I can't remember if there were
uh
animations for those. We
yeah,
looked
there
at
were.
those. We looked at the 2015 animations, the Bionicle animations, and I think you'd have to ask Joseph for the full. He's the animation director, but you'd have to ask him for the full lineup of what we looked at. But I remember those distinctly.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Which case maybe we'll drag him on to an interview sometime. Who knows? Kicking
Yeah.
and screaming, right?
Oh yeah, totally.
But no, that's really cool. I'm interesting to think about that because I wouldn't really thought about the contrast between live action versus animation. But I definitely understand it, but why you would choose that over the other definitely makes sense, I think. So, but uh speaking of it, the fact that it's a series,
Mhm.
how many episodes or how long? What are we doing with episodes as far as it being an actual series?
Yeah. So whenever I started the project, basically the goal that I told everybody was I will be okay if all we release is the first episode, because a lot of these types of projects have scope creep where, you start one place and then you plot out the entire project. And it's good to plot everything out. It is important. But if you get too caught up in that and you're not paying attention to the current episode, the thing that's coming out, then you'll spin your wheels forever and never release anything. So that's just something that happens with almost all fan projects across the board. That's
Yeah, I
yeah, and
find
I've had a
yeah,
couple of those. So
I find that anytime I've written anything out as far as my own creativity, I'll leave it for months. I'll come back and I will nitpick the hell out of it. Uh, but
yeah.
that's just how I am. Unfortunately, I can't get past my own editorial problems just to get whatever's going on. So commendable on your part.
Well, yeah, thank you. So like ideally, so we have two situations. We have like the best case scenario and the worst case scenario, and that's kind of how we operate in our meetings, whenever we're talking to story team, all that stuff. So, worst case scenario, we only release a couple episodes or maybe like a first season and we're done. The best case scenario is a plot of 6 episodes per season with 4 seasons. So that's 24. Yeah.
Yeah.
24 total episodes would be ideal. But
Yeah.
it's something that it's a work in progress. So
So
we can't guarantee that.
so how old are you now? Let's start off with a timeline of how long this will take.
Uh,
You're what, 28?
no, I'm 23. So
Ah. Uh so that will put you at 24 episodes. This is the first episode still being done 1 year, 24. So you will be old. So as
yeah.
far as that goes, this is going to be a very long project. But hey,
And
Imagine.
we're looking at ways to speed it up and stuff. So
Well, as far as that goes, it's just experience going through, trying to gain more experience, know what to do. And by the time you get to episode 13, you should be knowing more of what's going on. But
yeah, exactly.
um,
Once you've done it a few times, it gets better.
so yeah, it definitely gets easier over time. But at the same time, imagine Bionicle lasting 40 years. Now that is crazy to think about.
We
The
just
fact,
have to get it back. We just have to get it out to Creative Commons, guys. That's what we got to do.
well, it's lasted over 20 years now. So
Yeah, true.
so as far as that goes, it's not that impossible.
Mhm.
So a tear. Oh. Um For those who wonder what I am doing, I am reading what to do next. All right, let's have a fun one. What's your
Okay.
favorite? Just a random thing. What is your favorite Bionicle set? Because anytime I ask someone Bionicle that likes Bionicle, I always gotta ask them. I always forget, but that's why I ask them. What is it, sir?
So are you? I don't know, because I'm thinking there are two ways to think about favorite. Because is it just like personal nostalgic favorite, or is it like which I think is the best one?
Well, so I've known you a little bit now, and I already know that you've been trying to collect all the sets just like I have been. I would say
I'm 2 sets away now. So Titan Matanui and what the that like motorbike from 2009.
motorbike.
Yeah, there's like a yellow motorbike. It's like a snowmobile almost.
Oh,
Yeah, yeah.
the Glatorian one.
Yeah, those are my last two.
Huh. Well, I'll have to keep an eye out that anyway, you just sidetracked.
Yeah,
I would
so if
say,
anybody else has, a Titan Matanui, you don't even, I already have the mask, so.
hey, I'm looking for him too. Don't worry. I'll come out. Let me know. No, it would be like bidding war.
Oh yeah.
I would say my question would be favorite. I don't know. When you got your sets, did you build them, rebuild them, get them already built? Most of the ones that I keep getting have already been built, so I don't take them apart to rebuild them. I do like different characters and stuff. I would say, what's your favorite character and what's your favorite one to
Okay.
build? I guess that could be technically a combination model or whatever. Just what has been your personal favorite?
I think the one that I like the most, as a character, as a set, whatever, the one I'm most nostalgic for would be Jalamari. Because that was that was the one as a kid, I don't know. I think I just connected it with it more than the rest. That was my red guy hero, whatever, and learning more about Jala only made it, made it more interesting. I think in terms of, sets and like actually having one that looks really cool and, something that's my favorite, I would probably say it's not an official set, but the Miserix model, the one I love having it displayed. I love looking at it. I love, I actually have it right up here, but I don't want to jostle the camera too much to go get it. So
No jostling today, but another time. Uh, as far as that goes, how long have you been into Bionicle yourself? Since you said that nostalgia's Jawler from the Mari line, how long have you been into Bionicle then?
so I wasn't into it at the time, but I remember in 2001 showing my dad Onua Mata, his claws, and being like, oh my gosh, look, it turns, it digs, and my dad being like, oh that's real cool. So Bionicles were always around, but I only really got into the story part of it in 2007. I think 2007 was my first year that I paid attention, at least. So
Yeah, and you said you're 23, right? All right, so for everyone wondering how old I am, I'm 22. Unfortunately, I didn't start getting into Bionicle 2 probably around 2007, 2008 or so. So, or at least I knew about it, but I didn't start really getting into it, and so I didn't really get to know much of the lore and stuff until roughly after the Fantoka line and just starting to absorb the energy. I also couldn't read very well at the time either, so once I started reading, I started soaking up a lot and access to the library computer at that age. So as far as that goes, it was mainly computer games and the ads for me, as far as getting to see what different things happened. I don't know. Yeah, it's just kind of an interesting thing of how far I've gotten into the line and stuff at that time, and just how much time I didn't realize it would be ending. So that was a
Yeah.
sad day for me. Uh, but that kind of opened up the possibility for Hero Factory and other stuff down the line for me to start working on. Oh, I like all this. Uh, but I really like the story from Bionicle, so I kind of wish they did more.
Yeah, it's surprising how varied people's experience with Bionicle is, when people hopped on and when people started. It's quite varied.
I'm so glad it's probably a good thing I didn't get started during the mask collecting years, because I think I probably would have. I you've been collecting all the masks and stuff
Yep.
between 2001 to 2003 to 4ish.
2000, yeah, 2001 to 2003 were all
uh
the collectibles.
I collect masks when I come across them, when I know I don't have one, but I am not trying to complete any of them. There's probably a good reason for that. It's because I never had the taste of wanting to collect them all back then, because they were still coming out and they weren't so dang expensive.
Yeah, so
Thanks.
maybe it would have been better to have that, collector's spirit back in 2001 where,
Well, yes, but I was 1 years old at that time, so it didn't really
ah,
help me out too well. Little
yeah.
baby me would have probably been eating the masks, and I would have older me would have probably been punching my little baby me. Be like, no, no biting. That's an expensive silver Nuva mask. No biting.
If you eat a mask of water breathing, can you breathe water?
No, but I always thought about putting it on my nose and seeing if it grows into a full face mask. That
Nice.
younger me thought about that, or even like a Ben 10 Omnitrix watch where you just set the mask on it and you become that guy or
Oh yeah,
something.
Ben 10 was another influence. Speaking of Ben 10, the of course the original. I'm not to gatekeep Ben 10, but the original is the best.
Yeah, no, it was good at the time, but I never had cable, so cartoons at grandparents' house. That was my experience in terms of all that. Uh, but yeah, it's been a wild journey. I'm also almost done collecting the collection. I have got about 7 left to go of the original line. Then I have about, I think, 12 left to go of G2, and then I got about seven left of Hero Factory, and then 2 for Star Wars guys. I don't know. I've been collecting all the buildable figures except for Chima. So, but that was my set of masks. I'm buying them all.
Yeah, of course, of
Which
course.
sometimes is oof. So I'll be coming for that Tato Matanui. Let me know. I'll bid against you.
All right.
But yeah, anyway, get kind of going back to the project for a minute. What do you think is the scale of like your underlings? What is the scale of this
Oh,
project?
just like yeah. Right now we have, is it over 200 on the Discord?
Somewhere around there now.
Yeah. And I mean, obviously not everybody is directly contributing to a project. We have some people on the Discord who are just, chilling, waiting. That's the quickest way to get news. We usually publish it on Instagram and stuff like immediately after, but some people choose to be on the Discord and, get that information immediately. If I had to give an estimate to how many people are working directly on the project, I'd say we have a team of about 50 to 75 people just to assign things out and get things done quickly.
But
It's nice to have a large group of people that you can toss things out to. And so do you want to talk about organization, like how different things are organized in the project, or just a little like synopsis snapshot?
I would say, what are the main teams of the project at the moment? Like what teams do you have in the project specifically for it at the moment?
Sure. The animation team basically functions as an animation. I've been calling it like an animation support team, but basically what it is it's a group of artists, not necessarily animators, who work on, character designs, scene designs, backdrops, things like that, static locations, static views of creatures and everything. And then they pass it on to animators that were going to be, at the time of this recording, we're still working on, creating those job applications and bringing some people in, with the Patreon money. But that's basically the idea. So we have a group of artists behind the animators getting everything ready, and then we bring in so animation team is it's more like an animation support team, but that doesn't undermine the quality of everybody working on it. The brilliant artists. Sound team is ran by Aos, our sound team manager, and basically sound team is in charge of vocal recordings, sound mixing. They work directly with the cast to do some vocal coaching, etc., and get the performances that we need. And that's basically sound. Publicity, Iden here is one of the members of publicity, a top tier contributing, whatever. So
I wouldn't say top tier. Top tier goes to you and everyone else that can make a better post than I can. For me, I mostly run the community nights. So I am the community night host. We do it every other week or so, about twice. So just for people that are in the project, we do a handful of different things. We've done, what is that game that you had us play?
Oh, Jackbox is always fun with the with the group. Yeah,
we've done a Jackbox game. We have done trivia night. Aos actually helped with that. He came up with questions and stuff. Recently one of our members recommended going off of a script of a different fan made created story, and everyone that was there, we had different roles that we say and stuff like that. And boy, did that get interesting.
yeah.
But as far as that goes, we have quite a bit of humorous fun, and if we get tired and bored, I put on a movie. So
Bionicle movie.
Well, yes. Yeah. Nothing else. But yeah, are we missing a team?
Yes. So story, that's the team that I work directly with most of the time. So there's an outline of the story, where the seasons go, where everything goes, that I have in an internal document. And the story team kind of gets to fill in the cracks in between, because you have to have an outline at the beginning of a project. You have to have whatever. And these are the people working on the scripts. These are the people working on the Tales of the Mangai, which we just recently published no, we haven't published it yet. It's going to be published this weekend.
Of the time of this going out, it will either be published or not. So go check it out if it is.
Yeah.
If it's not, then I don't know what happened. So
at the time of this recording, it's not published, but Tales of the Mangai Chapter 2 is about to come out, and these are just supplementary stories that they elaborate on plot elements for the first episode that aren't necessary to understand the story of the first episode, but help to flesh out the world. So it's kind of like DLC for the episode.
So as far as that goes, go read the first chapter. Was it Kedek's Bargain?
Kedek's Bargain, yep.
So go read that, because the people that write all this stuff take forever to do it, but it's fantastic. No offense to the writers, I promise. But as far as that goes, go check them out. Also, I kind of forgot, we kind of sidetracked what publicity did fully, talking about
right. Yeah. So good point. Publicity just basically makes all the social media posts, runs everything. The publicity team is actually going to be the ones who upload the project or upload the episodes to the YouTube. They do all that stuff,
they say what gets to go out and in.
Yep.
For what happens, including like what we need animators, stats. All right, publicity is like, what do we do? Animator. Okay, we got one.
And that team, of course, is run by the fantastic Lurla. So
agreed.
She was the first manager who joined our project. So
So,
That's kind of a
and
fun
and we
fact.
have to keep telling her to slow down sometimes. Try not to lose yourself because
Yeah,
we know
she
how you are very
works hard. Yeah.
important. Please do not burn yourself out.
Hmm.
We'll try not to ask too much. But as far as that goes, she is fantastic. She's been doing great work, including all of the people at the publicity staff, essentially. So, and then yeah, our story team, we've explained
And
that.
then
What
the
else?
mocking team is the final one. So
Ah,
those are the people who, if we need a, like, for instance, we needed a, to not to spoil it, not to whatever. I'm trying to say this in the least spoiler way possible. A
say
Trencrom Peninsula monster. Okay, something, like some creature, some whatever, and we needed that designed. We needed one, whatever. So I go out to the mocking team and say, hey, we need a creature, we need, whatever. This is what I need it to look like, and this is when I need it, and it needs to be turned over to animation so we can make a character model for it.
yeah,
And yeah,
that's
so
definitely been really cool to see because with the project, just from what I've seen, all the character designs and stuff, they still have the aesthetics of the actual characters. And with the mocking team, they can make sure that the designs of the actual characters could also be very realistic in real life as well,
yeah.
if it was to ever be created. So they're like the modeling team, mocking team, aka modeling in a sense.
Mhm.
So it's definitely an important job, to
Yeah,
say the
and
least.
and one of the big pros of modeling it physically is that we can offer the instructions for some of these more complex models on the Patreon, where people can, build these, like, creatures or Toa or whatever, and have fun immersing yourself in the world, because that's what Lego, like, you know
Guess what,
it's an exciting
guys?
thing for me. Yeah.
New Bionicle instructions. Come on, join us because Lego ain't gonna do it, so we're doing it ourselves.
Got to do it
Yeah.
ourselves. G3.
So, so yeah, no, the idea of G3 and this being it is definitely a pretty cool thing. So, I would say what. So we've learned a little bit about the modeling, or not modeling. We've learned about the different teams, and we've learned about some of the districts in here. Don't be burning 12. But as far as that goes, or 13, was it 13? No, 12 burned. Anyway,
It's been so long.
um,
Yeah.
I won't be reading the books again. So as far as that goes, what has been, I guess, your favorite part about the process so far? Like,
Mm,
I guess, what's been your favorite part, and what's also been the most strugglesome? Just out of
yeah.
curiosity.
I think my favorite part of this project is getting to see something that was just an idea in my head a year ago. Getting to see artists create concept art for it, getting to see early animations for it, getting to see storyboards for it, and realizing that the words that they're saying and the arcs that they're going through is something that, if you weren't here, it wouldn't exist. It wouldn't be and I think that can apply by extension to a lot of the other creators on the project, that if they weren't here adding to it and create, it wouldn't exist. And getting to see it come to life is, it's very humbling and empowering at the same time. It's quite unique. It's quite a unique feeling.
Would you say you're satisfied?
Yeah, I guess you could say that. Yeah. um in terms of in terms of bad things or rough patches, um I mean, I'm always stressing about money. That's something that with this project, because it's a fan project, and like, we have the Patreon, people can contribute, people can whatever, but it's just, it's a
It's
difficult,
not
especially in this world that we live in, like, and
it's
and all
not
the stuff that's going
free.
on. Yeah, that I wish that you could just make things on passion alone and make stuff. And I think we've pushed passion alone pretty
You've
pretty
definitely
far
pushed
here.
it.
Yeah.
I know that there's other projects and stuff where it seems like a lot of their uh momentum got burnt out, or at least has gotten extremely slow. And the fact that this is still going with the momentum that it is pretty impressive. The Discord has lots of people that talk constantly at different times of the day. I want notifications blow up, and I'm just
It's
like,
quite an active server, to be
yes.
honest.
So we're an active community, that's for sure. Different people are from different parts of the world, so different times is always an interesting concept to everyone else. But other than that, as far as I can tell, project's going full steam ahead and smashing through any barriers that come across so far, just based on my perspective. So it's been fantastic. So congratulations. Um,
Thanks.
so and then as far as all that goes, here here's a fun question.
All right, I like the fun questions.
So first off, you work a normal job, correct?
Mhm. Yep.
So on top of that, you have this project.
Mhm.
And so how does your family feel about you working on such a big project while also maintaining the balances of everyday living, essentially? Like, what have they been
Yeah.
supportive? Have they been like, that seems interesting, but I suppose what's it like for you?
Yeah. So I am I'm married, I live outside of my yeah. So I live, on my own in, whatever. And I have a young kid. He's not quite a year old yet, but my wife is very supportive of it. She's very proud of the stuff that we've been able to achieve. She's quite happy with the progress. Sometimes it gets a little like, whenever I'm working on, because I have meetings every Sunday, like through the main part of the day, it kind of feels like instead of working 5 days a week, I work 6. But we
Yeah.
make it work, and getting my dad to understand what the project is, besides just a cartoon, is
Yeah.
sometimes a challenge. But he's worked his way around, and he's quite supportive of it. He's been very impressed with the work that animation's been able to put out. So
I would say, as far as like showing different people what you're people that don't understand animation or just in general projects like this, because they don't think about it most of the time, I would be more impressed by seeing what the amount of growth of what you've built. Being able to show someone that would definitely make a bigger impact than just showing the end product, because you can see how big it was and how much time and what it was to create this entire thing. um I would, if I was your father, I would be like, good job, son. But as far
yeah.
as that goes, I come from a creative family. So
Mm.
just like my uncle, he ran multimedia company where he did a bunch of different things for different other companies, kind of like doing different things. But my family is very entrepreneurship. So
Mhm.
well,
Yeah.
anything that has to do with entrepreneurship is fantastic in our family. So good job again. I'm proud. I promise. But as far as that goes, it's always nice when you have your family support on different projects. Balancing things are definitely critical. Try not to get stressed and pass out is also very important.
Yeah, that's
Uh,
true. That's true.
but that's why you got a team. You got your different team members working on different things. You're not taking on everything by itself, and so forth. You aren't burning yourself to a crisp like other projects can happen if you don't have a good team behind you. And I think you got a fantastic team.
Yeah, I
Uh,
think I do too.
and as far as teams and all kinds of stuff, I guess we already kind of went by like, what do you see the project being in 3 years? But based on your
Mhm.
episode count, it's going to be more than that.
Yeah.
So I would guess with the multiple episodes and stuff, where do you see the project being in the next few years if it's still the hope and dream is
Mhm.
still going on? But what
Yeah,
would you
yeah.
like to see different than it is now, essentially?
I think that one of one of the things that I would like to be or where I would like this project to be in 3 years is I'd like to have a team of animators that are paid on staff who can, who just stick around and animate things on the fly instead of having to commission animators for each episode, which is what we're going to have to be doing now.
Right.
So I think that would be nice. And I imagine that the Mangai Project could evolve from the place it is now to doing other things besides the Mangai series. Maybe still called Mangai Project, maybe still called whatever, but I think that a group of passionate people who are willing to stick around and create things and create a show out of nothing would do very well doing whatever in any enterprise they wanted to. So I really, it's difficult to think about where this project could be in 3 years. Ideally, we'll still be working on this series, finishing it up, but that's
Well,
there's a lot of potential.
like I guess we'll see if I'm still hanging around and stuff during that time. So I would hope to be I would hope to be here, hope to be there. So we'll see what happens and enjoy the ride as long as we can. So I'd say so far, okay, so with the Mangai project and the Mangai series, you said it's going to be touching up on certain characters and such. Uh because it is a story that has that you can go to Biomedia and other stuff and you can find different characters from the series, so people, not a massive spoiler on who's going to be in it, but who is your favorite character so far, you think, in the series, as far as
Yeah.
like someone that's being progressed and being told in a different art style, a story light and stuff? So far, who's your favorite character within the Mangai series?
I think right now, in terms of favorite characters and favorite whatever, there is a Toa who is going to appear in episode 2. He's one of the Mangai of Ice,
Uh-huh.
named Mafa, or I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, because it's one of
It's
those things
Bionic.
where
Yeah, it's
yeah,
Bionicle. You can't pronounce everything correctly. If you do, then you've spent too much time on it. But granted, fantastic.
or you're a linguist, or whatever.
That too.
But yeah, so that is a character that we're introducing, and I'm thinking about like how to make this non-spoilery. He has a particular disability where he had his vocal box ripped out at some point in the past by, I think, a Nui Jaga. And so he communicates with his spirit brother, Hura, through I think, like, it's not quite sign language, but it's like facial movements behind the mask and different things. So it's a unique character that I've been very excited to work with the story team to flesh out and really build up. And that's personally my favorite. And it's a shame that we won't really get to see him, at least in the show, until episode 2. But I guess it's something to look forward to.
Definitely something to look forward to. So everyone that's following the series, stick with it, or else you'll never get to see the amazingness of it.
Yeah.
So, apologies. All right. Let's see here. What else we got? What what is something that you like doing outside of the project? Who are you outside of the project, essentially? Like, you are the director, you are the main manager. What do you like doing that isn't Bionicle? Because no one should ever only have Bionicle as their life, or else they're going to be very Bionicle man. And I know I have, there's nothing against it for those who are that. I promise. I'm sorry if it seems whatever, but in general, most people have different things outside of Bionicle that they're interested into.
Mm.
What's one of yours? Like, I know for me, granted about 50% of my life is Lego. But I also like playing Magic the Gathering. I like doing D&D. I have other social outlets I like to go try to do. And it almost sometimes it helps out with stuff like this. Creating characters from D&D, you could also, like the Red Star Games, they have their version of D&D, but it's all Bionicle and a whole new system.
Yeah.
So is there anything that you like to do outside of work that, or outside of the project, or just in general? Who are you, sir? Who are you behind the mask?
I yeah, that's a good. I do enjoy. I will quite often. I think we do like once a week. I'm part of a film club that we've maintained. Outside of. I think we started in college, but I'd I'd consider myself like a very rookie film critic, or somebody who I love watching movies, giving critical reviews of them,
Uh-huh.
and like talking to friends about it and whatever. And I have very strong opinions about a great deal of film. That's something that I like to do. I also thrift shopping, like
Yeah.
going out exploring thrift stores and looking for treasures and stuff like that. I know you said not to bring Bionicle into it and everything, but last week I actually found some Toamata in their canisters in a thrift
Nice.
store, which was exciting. A rare find. I haven't found
No,
one of those in like
I
four or
promise you.
5 years.
So I'm a part of a Gateway Lego, or I'm part of a lug group, which is
Hmm.
Lego users group for 18 and up. You find multiple of them spread out the whole world. One of their members actually contacted me saying that they found a bin of Bionicles and stuff, and asked if I wanted to buy it off of him from when he got it there. And I said yeah, because I was trying to build up my collection. And boy, did he find some good stuff, like the what are the nightmare creature that all the
Oh,
stocky
Ernak,
Ernak.
yeah.
There was a complete Ernak in there. There was
Yeah, that's nice.
Hydraxon. There was multiple guys, and it was fairly cheap too for what
Mm,
we got. But
mhm.
it was amazing because Goodwill nowadays will actually price like Lego really high and stuff like
Yeah.
that because they know what it is. I'm sorry to say this, but apparently they don't treat Bionicle the same as Lego, or else they wouldn't know what they got, or else it wouldn't be priced the way that it is.
Yeah,
Which,
we do have kind of a nice scenario where we fly just enough under the radar that like we can, get away with deals and get away with things that other
it
communities can't.
well, the downside is once you have it within the Bionicle community, then you got to deal with it just like everyone
You
else.
hold on to it like
Um,
grim death. Yeah.
yeah, that I guess it plays into the whole act of Bionicle isn't Lego, which shame on them because it is obviously Lego. Lego made it. Um,
Yeah.
just sorry, I have my own critiques of the community.
Yeah, that's gonna be a whole rant and a half.
So, but other than that, the community is fantastic. It's been growing exponentially, and it's had its lines, its ups, and its downs, and then it's had its very choppy lines. Um, but no, it with the project, I think the community does need it for just having something new, something that the whole community can enjoy. It's a part of the storyline, but it's again a little more obscure than say year one. Wasn't really brought up into much multimedia stuff besides books or serials or whatever it was. Delicious cereals. But in general, I think the project's fantastic. And I think we'll go from I think this is about time we wrap it up because
All right.
it has now gotten to a very long interview. I'm sure everyone listening in or watching this would agree. But thank you everyone for listening. Thank you, Max
Yeah.
Nui, for joining me.
Thank you.
So, is there any way that the viewers can help out the project? Where do we send them? Where are they going?
Yeah, so getting the word out is obviously, the most important thing for any project, making sure people know and everything. We have a number of social medias. We have a Facebook and an Instagram. Both of those are pretty active. We have a Twitter, but I don't think we've ever tweeted on that. So definitely don't follow us there if you want to actually see any posts. You can go to our website, www.themangaiproject.com. I also think that just mangaiproject.com directs you to the same place. I made sure that, we don't have any issues there.
It's like I've had my own issues trying to get to the website, but that's probably my lack of doing it very often, and not getting on the computer quite as much. So don't take my inexperience of having to actually get onto a good website deter anyone. But yeah, no, that
Yeah, on the website we have links to basically everything. So like, all of our social medias, whatever. The ways that you can contribute to the project, there are two different ways. Um, if you want to contribute in a monetary way, which is something we really need, like with any project, we have a Patreon. You can find the link on our website, and we do all kinds of different things on the Patreon. We have a lot of fun. We make sure that we're constantly putting out new things on the website. So we have like it's mostly like character concept work. If we have some early storyboards or something like that, we'll send a little clip out there or something, so you stay updated. We usually try to put out something for everybody at least once a week, and besides that, and if you can't support us in a monetary way, or you have some like a skill set, like, hey, if you're an artist or interested in doing sound or like voice actors, anything like that, you can join our Discord. There's a link on the website as well. And even if you just want to stay up to date with stuff and be a part of the community, we we have quite the time on the Discord. So it's a pretty active community that's very passionate about Bionicle. So
yep. So Patreon's one option to help support the project. Join us on the Discord. Yeah, that
get to join Iden's community nights.
yeah, join the community nights. There's always something interesting going on. But yeah, well, I say something interesting. But yeah, no, come join us. Come say hi to everyone. If you also join Patreon, and if you help with it with a high enough level, you could also join in on specific special meetings and stuff like that
Yes.
too.
Mm-hmm.
So you can follow along with what's going on with the project as it goes on, if you want to be more a part of it like that.
Yeah, every Sunday after we have the team meetings, we actually have a production meeting with the $20 patrons where the managers sit down and talk about all of the stuff that they've done. Now, Iden, you're in that tier, and I don't think you've gotten the chance to be in any of the meetings yet, have you?
I have been
Okay.
to one, but as far as that goes, that still has to do with my ability to work on weekends. So, but as far as that goes, yeah, come check out the project with everyone, guys. The Mangai Project, working on the Mangai series. This is Max Nui that's been chilling with us, answering all our ridiculous questions, and the important ones. So thank you for everyone joining. I am Iden, and this is our conclude to the Iden interviews today. Thank you very much. Goodbye.
Thank you.